So one of the questions I get asked a lot about what it is that we do with CMA Live is quite simply, what's the one thing that you want people to get from CMA Live, or what's the one thing that people will learn from CMA Live or take away from CMA Live? I think these are really important questions. People want to know that they're not wasting their time, that they're choosing to do something that's going to be valuable to them, right? It's going to be worth it for them, because in the main, most people that go to conferences have been to conferences before in the past as well. So I got asked this. I can't remember who it was that asked this question. I wish I could remember. If you're watching this and you're thinking I asked you this question, then please do say. I think it's a great question. I think it's really important. But I was asked it on the fly a little bit, and I hadn't really prepared an answer for this. And it's quite funny what kind of came out from the thought process of thinking about the answer to this question. Now, when someone goes to a conference, there's lots of things. Learning is just simply part of it, right? So you go to a conference, you want to learn something new, right? And so for some people, most people in the main will learn something new if they are open to learning something new. There'll always be something to learn, right? But that's only it's only really part of the whole thing, right? It's only part of the part of being at an event or a conference. If you're going to like a workshop, for example, typically you will only go to a workshop because you're going to learn something, but going to a conference is different. There's other things. So let me just kind of paint the picture here, and before you kind of go like, here we go, about the whole motivational, inspirational thing, let me just finish what I have to say. And I think it all kind of makes sense, right? And why I think this way about attending conferences, because I'm very similar. And I think that a lot of people that are going to CMA are similar too. And if you are going to CMA, I'd love to hear your thoughts on why you're going to CMA and what's the number one thing you want to get from going to CMA Live as well. And it'd be really good to add it into the mix here. So jump into the comments section with your thoughts and ideas on this too. But here's my thoughts and ideas on it. And the number one thing, right? So the number one thing will be different for everybody else, but what's the number one thing that I want everyone to get from CMA Live, and why do we do it? So let me just paint the picture quickly, right? It's really, learning is vital, right? So I am I'm involved in the CMA membership heavily, right? So I see the different conversations that are going on, different challenges. So learning, when it comes to learning, I'm thinking about what are the biggest gaps, what are the challenges, what are the problems that we're having at the moment, how can we get speakers involved and people involved in what we are doing that are going to help us to get to that next part, right? To get through that barrier, to address that challenge or that problem. So I'm constantly looking at that. So I understand, I feel confident anyway about where CMA people typically are in their growth, and the conference and the membership is going to grow with that as time goes on, right? So there's those one factors, learning for sure, right? Then there's other things, right? Like having fun and networking with people and meeting people in real life that you've only met online before, and having a conversation with them and having a drink and having food with them, right? And having an excuse to do all of that stuff. So having fun, but again, underpinning all of that, learning will take place, because I know that's how it works. People having conversations with each other, asking questions about what they're doing, how they're doing things, challenging themselves. That all comes, like, for example, someone might learn something more from actually having a conversation with someone than they would for the whole conference. But it's the whole conference that facilitates that learning in the first place, right? And the mindset and the whole environment for learning, right? So there's fun, then there's meeting people and networking, right? The social element of the whole thing, getting out of the office and getting to an event is a great experience in itself, or it should be. And then there's like access to the speakers and access to the other talent that we've curated for the event as well. That all kind of comes into the mix too, and it all facilitates learning, all of it. The mindset, the environment, the experience, everything facilitates learning and development, personal development, business development. Now here's the 2 or 3 things that kind of roll off the back of this, right? Which is important for all of us to recognize. It's kind of like the higher level, bigger picture stuff, which is self-esteem and self-confidence, right? So how you feel about yourself is more important than any of the other stuff, because you could learn all you want, you could go to all the events that you want to, but if you don't feel confident that you can actually achieve something, that you could do something, you could make a change, you can move forward, you can get over a challenge or a problem, then you're not going to get very far, right? So knowledge is, they say knowledge is power, but it's only part of the picture. Knowledge is only power if you do something about it. And in order to do the doing part, self-esteem and self-confidence are absolutely crucial. So when someone says to me, what do you want people to get? What's the number one thing you want people to get from CMA Live? And I come out with this answer, which is self-confidence and self-esteem. You'd think to yourself, well, it sounds like a bit of a woolly conference to be going to. I want hard learning. I want to learn the thing. And you need to see the bigger picture, right? So that's the way I see it. I see why everything else is important, but I also feel like this is the most important part, which is that if you leave CMA Live motivated, confident, feeling good about yourself and inspired, then there's more chance that you will actually do the stuff that you're supposed to do, right? And it might be that you sit into a conference for 2 days, you actually recognize all the stuff that you haven't done that you should have done already. And you might feel more confident and more inspired a year on to actually go ahead and do all of that stuff. Or it might be the right time to hear the right message, right? You just never know. So it's not like the stock answer isn't like, what's the number one thing you want to get people should get from CMA Live is that, oh, they should feel motivated, inspired. That underpins everything else that I've just talked about, the learning, the development, right? The most powerful part is that someone goes away from CMA Live and actually does something with it, right? Implements it, puts something into practice, says to themselves, I can do this, right? And that's the way we curate our, there's no point in getting all the information if you don't feel confident enough to actually go ahead and do it. And that's the way that we curate our event, the number of people in the room, like having a 200-person max conference and having 16 speakers, having 4 international keynote speakers, right? Being able to touch them, speak to them, look at them up on the stage speaking and think to yourself, I can do the stuff that they're talking about. I could be that person that they're looking for. I can actually relate to them standing up there, right? It's not like you're so detached from the speaker that it doesn't make any sense, right? It's not like we've booked Gary Vaynerchuk for 150K and just like sold all our tickets, right? Which is relatively easy to do if you just want to sell seats, right? This is different. This is about you growing your business and building a business that you feel confident and you want to be successful with. So I think it's a great question to ask. What do I want to get from CMA Live? People asking me, what's the number one thing that you want people to get from CMA Live, Chris? I've put the question back to you. What's the number one thing that you want to get from CMA Live? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Drop them into the comments section here on Facebook Live. Or if you are a CMA member, drop into Slack with your thoughts on this. Or tweet me at chrismarr101. You can always email me, chris@cmauk.co.uk as well. Thanks for listening. I'm pleased to share this stuff with you. I feel what's the word? This is how I feel. This is what I want to achieve with all our live events. Hope it makes sense. Any questions, let me know. Have a great day and don't forget to be awesome.